Hello, this is Pearl, and today I'm going to read Little Pilgrim's Progress Chapter 10, Passion and Patience and the Brave Soldier. Little Christian felt quite sorry to turn away from the picture of the Good Shepherd. I shall never forget it, he thought. The shepherd's face is even more beautiful than my darling mother's. The interpreter took him upstairs into a pleasant room, which looked like a nursery. Two little boys were sitting there, each in his own chair. One of them appeared to be quiet and happy, but the other was crying and seemed very cross and discontented. "These two little boys are staying here for a time," said the interpreter. "The one who is crying is called Passion, and his brother's name is Patience." "Why is Passion crying?" asked Christian. "He is a foolish boy," replied the interpreter. "There are some beautiful gifts coming soon from the king, and the children are each to have their share. Patience is willing to wait for them, but Passion is vexed because he cannot enjoy them at once. He wishes to have his pleasure now instead of at the proper time." Just then the door opened, and a man came in carrying a quantity of books and toys and pretty things, which he spread upon the table before Passion. The boy was delighted, and wiping away his tears, began to look at his treasures. Among them were some bags filled with bright golden coins, and when Passion saw these, he held them up in his hands and laughed at Patience, who had nothing with which to amuse himself. "Passion is very happy now," said the interpreter, "but in a short time all his coins will be spent, and his pretty things will be torn and broken and spoiled. And when the king's gifts come, he will have no share in them. Then he will wish he had waited as Patience is waiting." "Are the king's gifts better than these?" asked little Christian. "Far better. They are treasures that cannot be spoiled, and Patience is very wise to wait for them." "Passion is laughing now," said Christian, "but I think Patience will have the best of it." "I am sure he will," replied the interpreter. "You must remember that everything I show you is meant to teach you something, and you may learn from this that it is not wise to wish too eagerly for pleasant things until the king sends them. He knows exactly what is good for each of us, and he will always give us what will make us really happy. If we behave like Passion and try to be happy in our own way, we are sure to be disappointed." The interpreter now took Christian out of the house and through his garden to a place from which they could see a beautiful palace not very far off. The roof of the palace was flat, and upon it a number of people were walking about, dressed in garments that shone brightly like gold. "Is that one of the king's palaces?" asked little Christian. "Yes, but it is not easy for anyone to enter it." Outside the palace, Christian saw a great crowd of men who looked as if they wished to go in, but were afraid to do so. Then he saw that some other men in armor were standing around the doorway. They had fierce, cruel faces, and the men who were outside dared not try to pass them. A little way from the door, a man was sitting at a table with a book before him, in which he wrote the name of anyone who tried to get into the palace. Little Christian felt very much interested in all of this, and he hoped that one of the men would be brave enough to go into the palace while he was there. "Why does not the king drive away the wicked soldiers?" he said. "He could drive them away, and then all those people could go into the palace." "He could do it quite easily," replied the interpreter, "but he wishes to see how many of the people really care about entering the palace. Those who love the king with all their hearts are not afraid of the soldiers. We can wait for a little while, and you will see someone go in." So they sat down upon the grass, and little Christian watched the people. Presently a man came out from the crowd and went toward the table near the doorway. His name was written in the book. Then he put on his helmet and drew his sword and rushed in among the soldiers. He fought with them for a long time, and Christian thought he would be killed. But although he received many wounds, he got into the palace at last. And then all the people upon the roof began to sing, come in, eternal glory thou shalt win." Little Christian smiled. Does that mean we are not to be frightened because the king will help us and take us safely into a city? Yes, said the interpreter. I thought you would understand it for yourself. Now, you've seen enough for one day. We must find a little bed for you, and tomorrow you shall go on your journey. Thank you for listening. Jesus is coming soon.